Hi, so you can see we're getting quite close to the end of the book now, about 40 pages to go. Chapter 18 is called At Last. We get back to my room to find Mac awake and looking a lot better. You go next, Adrienne, I say. She smiles at me and flops down onto the bed without saying anything. She puts on the mask and rolls over to face the wall. A minute later, her breathing gets slower and deeper. She's asleep. What happened? Kat says. I'm assuming it's not good news. I look at Trent. Before I tell you, I want everyone to stay calm. We need to be quiet. We need to think carefully. Nobody panic. Spit it out, man, Trent says. What's the beef? Okay, well, the good news is that we found out why the bug eyes are draining the lake. The bad news is that it's so they can free the rest of the alien spores and take over the world. Well, we figured it was something like that anyway, Max says, so it's good to have official confirmation. Yeah, Fangs, what's the big deal? When the coach comes tomorrow, we escape, call the police sort it out, and we get the credit. Simples. Trent tosses a handful of Star Mix into his mouth. The big deal, I say, and I'm thinking that if I say it really quick, it won't sound as bad, is that the coach driver's a bug eye, the coach is hidden in the murdery bar by the lake, and if we don't stop the bug eyes by sunrise, then it'll probably be going to be too late. Trent swallows the candies whole. It sounds like a dog choking on a chicken carcass. So we're on our own, Katya says. Well, not completely, I say. We've got each other. Hell yeah, says Mac. I'd trust you guys with my life over anyone else in the world. You're all mental. Trent stopped choking and is knocking back a bottle of Evian. I'd rather be with a pack of velociraptors than you lot. So what's the plan? Katya asks. We have to stop the lake from being drained, I say. Mac, do you think there's any way we can break down that dam? The thing with dams, he says, munching on what looks like a bit of twig, is you don't need to break the whole thing down. You only need to make a crack in the right place. So it's doable. They put it up in a hurry. It's not structurally sound. It's definitely doable. But how are we going to get it done with so many bug eyes around, Kat says. There's too many of them. I've got a couple of ideas, I say, but nothing substantial enough that I can feel sure it will work. I rub my hands through my hair so hard I think I may have left a bald patch. I'm so tired. It's like nothing I've ever felt before. I miss my mum. I miss Chet's. I feel like the fate of the human race depends on me. My brain and body are just shutting down. We have some time, Lance, Kat says. When Adrienne wakes up, you can sleep. After that, things will seem better. We'll think of something. I want to believe her, but it all seems too much. I came on this trip to protect Chet's. I failed. I tried to stop everybody from turning into aliens. I failed. I fail at everything. At school, at home, and in life. All I want to do is go to sleep, drift off to a happy place and forget about it. We wouldn't have got this far without you, Kat says, like she's reading my mind. We'd have been toast on the first night, says Mac. R.I.P. us. I'd have been fine, Trent says. Kat hits him in the face with a towel. Here, eat a banana. Mac passes one to me. 30 minutes, then it's your turn to sleep. And honestly, mate, that hour of sleep is going to make you feel unstoppable. And tomorrow, when we're home, we can all sleep for a week, Kat says. They'll let us have a couple of days off school, right? Somehow, the others keep me awake until it's my turn with the CPAP. I feel weird because I never sleep in front of anyone, but there have been a lot of firsts on this trip, so I guess one more won't hurt. As I put the mask over my nose and mouth, I worry for a second that I'm too wired to sleep, that the stress and craziness will keep me up. Worrying. But I only worry for a second, and then I fall into a heavy black cloud, where nothing matters except the steady beat of my heart. I wait to see Katya gazing down at me, the turquoise of her eyes twinkling like a mythical jewel from Asgard or something. How are you feeling? She asks. Better, I say. Part of me wants to let myself slide back into sleep, but I know I've got stuff to do. The others are counting on me. So I sit up and take off the mask. Where's that page of notes about water bears? I've had an idea. Geek robot overlord for the next turn. Trent dangles the oxygen mask in his hand. Just shut up and go to sleep if you don't want to help, Adrian says. Don't come crying to me later saying I didn't give you a fair chance then. Trent jumps onto the bed and settles down for another nap. Here's the page you wanted, Lance. Katya hands me a crumpled piece of paper. I think it looks more like a hippo than a bear. What do you know about tardigrades, Mac? I say. They're tiny. They survive in conditions that nothing else can deal with. They can even come back from the dead. They can stand boiling hot, freezing cold, total dehydration and being in space. They eat all sorts of stuff, including bacteria, which is why they can be useful. Is it possible they could eat alien bacteria? I ask, looking at the creature in the diagram. I guess it's possible, Mac says. You could be onto something. But where can we get some? Katya asks. We don't have access to shops here. They often live in green or watery places. Another name for them is moss piglets. Remember, just before Dale passed out, he said something about water bears and he had green slime on him, I say. I reckon there are tardigrades in the crater somewhere. That's what he was trying to find when he bugged out. The moss! Kat widens her eyes to infinity pool proportions. There's moss around the edge of the crater. Chet slipped in some on the way in. Maybe the moss has been helping to keep spores from escaping the crater, Aid says. We look at each other, and I'm sure they're all thinking what I'm thinking, that this could be the key to stopping the aliens. It's an epic moment, full of possibility and hope. And then Trent farts in his sleep. All right, I say, I have a plan. It's all based on guesswork and assumptions, so there's a high chance of it going wrong. I'm in, says Katya. Me too, says Adrian. Of course, I'm totally in, Matt grins. And I hope it involves getting out of this room, because if Trent farts again, I might be sick. Right, I jump up and I'm feeling full of energy again. Nothing makes you feel worse than running away and hiding from things. When you make the decision to face them and fight them, even though it's scary, it's like the dark clouds blow away and everything becomes clear. Empty your backpacks, except for water and a snack. We're going to forage for some moss. What about Trent? Kat says. Should we wake him? Nah, he made his choice. Leave him here to sleep. 5 minutes later, we're leaving the building through the back entrance and making our way into the trees. It feels good to be doing something useful and with my best friends beside me. I only wish Chet's could be here too. So we know there's some moss by the main gate, I say, but the main gate is risky. They could be watching us. Let's start at this side and work our way around the crater, Katya says, skipping up the savagely steep slope as though she's on flat ground. The rest of us follow as best we can, though by the time we see the fence through the trees, we're practically climbing. A few metres before the fence, Kat suddenly stops and wobbles as though she's on the edge of something. Adrian is second in line and just about manages to grab Kat's backpack and keep her from falling. As Mac and I catch up, I see where Kat and Aid are standing. There's a deep dip in the earth with vertical sides, laced with bits of dead roots. It's like the ground has been ripped out. On the other side of the ditch, the fence rises ominously. It looks like someone's dug a trench, says Mac. To stop us from getting out? Adrian asks. Katya stands with her hands on her hips, assessing the vertical sides of the trench. I can climb that, no problem, but I don't think you guys will be able to. No offence. As if anyone could ever be offended by something Katya says. Lucky we're not here to try to climb our way out, I say, but if there was any moss there, it's long gone. So we follow the perimeter, says Mac. Yes, I say. Maybe the ditch is only across the back of the crater. We trudge on, keeping the ditch on our right. It's strange to see the world outside the fence, going on exactly as it did before. Life in the crater is so disconnected, we might as well be on an alien planet. Remember when Chet thought there were bandits in the woods, I say, and we all laugh, until we remember there are nastier things to worry about than bandits. So I guess Digger hit Dale on the head to try to knock him out, says Aid. That's one way of making someone sleep. Or killing them, says Mac. And after everything he went through, they got him anyway. I can't see Kat's face because she's walking ahead of me, but I know she hates seeing people get hurt. Since we came across the ditch, it's like everyone's spirits are falling again. If we can find the moss and fix this, I say, then nothing Dale went through will be wasted. If he hadn't left the notes or scared the butts off us by smearing his blood all over the coach window, we never would have known what we were dealing with. I mean, we've worked some things out for ourselves, but a lot of it's because of his lunatic scribbles. We won't let his sacrifice be in vain. Katya sniffs. That was rousing, mate, Max says, and he pretends to break down in tears, especially the part about Dale's blood smears. Aid starts giggling and whacks Mac on the arm. It was a good speech, Lance. You really should have run for head boy. I'd have voted for you, says Kat. Me too, and Chet's, Max says. Yeah, but I don't think 3 votes would have won it for me, but thanks anyway, guys. If more people had really got to know you, things could have been different, Adrienne says. We've been in the same class for years, seen each other nearly every day, but all I knew about you was that your attendance is in the low 80s, you find it hard to concentrate, you don't seem to care about the SATs or doing well, and sometimes you get into trouble. You've kept so much to yourself and allowed people to think the worst of you. Kind of suited me to be seen as the class idiot. It meant nobody bothered asking questions, I say. And I realised that I've actually been quite a coward. I took what seemed like the easiest option, the least risky way of getting through. Maybe I was wrong. If people knew about your mum and about your other difficulties, sure, there would be a few jerks like Trent who'd laugh and say horrid things, but most people would be nice about it, Aid says. You should have given us a chance. And I can't believe you didn't tell us, says Katya. We're best friends, Lance. We know how awesome you are. Hey, we've all kept things to ourselves, buddy. Mac whacks me gently on the back of my shoulder. Even the girls. There's a few seconds of quiet. No sound, but our footsteps. Yeah, we both did that too, Aid, says Kat, and then she starts giggling. You aren't thinking about that little table in the restaurant, are you? Aid says. And the rose, Max mutters. I can barely hold in the laughter. Don't forget the candle. We all laugh so hard that we have to stop walking. There's so much going on and things are looking pretty bad right now, as our only plan seems to have been dug up and thrown away, but it feels amazing to laugh like this. We give it a few minutes, holding our bellies and falling to the ground. Then Katya snorts and Big Mac starts crying and we all start over again. We laugh until we ache, and I know that whatever happens, however it all turns out, this is one of the best moments of my life. If I live to be an old man, I'm going to sit at bus stops telling people this story, I say. It's never going to stop being funny. We'll all live in the same old people's home, says Kat. We could talk about it while we do our knitting. I'm an excellent knitter, Max says. It's one of the life skills my parents taught me. And we all laugh again. After a water and a wee break, we continue our walk around the crater of doom. The ditch doesn't let up, but we have to keep hoping. It's going to be by the road, I say. They won't have dug it up because they need it for getting in and out. That's where we'll find the moss. And as we approach the only road through the crater, we can see that it's intact. There are guards, Max says. Of course there are, I sigh. No way are they going to make this really hard thing we have to do any easier for us. How many? Mac crawls forwards for a better look. Just 2. Crater Lake guys. They're making sure nobody gets out of the gate, I guess, Kat says. What are we going to do? They're only workers, let's take them out. We'll grab some branches and hit them round the head. Max starts scoping the trees for a suitable weapon. Too risky, I say. They're bigger than us and we won't be able to sneak up on them, so we won't have the element of surprise. Besides, says Aid, remember the aliens have displayed wasp-like tendencies so far. If we attack one of the hive, they'll release the pheromone that alerts all of the others. We're out in the open here. The pheromone will spread quickly and there'll be a swarm. We have to lure them away, and there's only one way I can think of. I roll my shoulders back and do some warm-up stretches. We're not using you as bait, says Kat. It's too dangerous. It's the only way, I say. I'll draw them away and you guys get as much moss as you can. The problem with this plan is that you're too slow. Adrienne stands up and tightens her ponytail. So, I'm being the bait. I can't ask you to do that, I say. You're not asking, I'm volunteering. It's the option that has the greatest chance of success. I'm the fastest, so I'll go. No way, it's not happening. It's so dangerous. The thought of watching Ade run into the jaws of death is too awful for me to deal with. It should be me. It isn't your choice to make, she says. It's not your job to protect everyone all the time. You have to let us take responsibility for ourselves. I'm the fastest, so this makes the most sense. I can see that she's determined, and she's right, it does make the most sense. She's way faster than me, but still. I'll robot overlord you for it, I say. Did it ever cross your mind that you're not actually helping people by protecting them all the time, she asks. Take Chet's for example. You saved him from the wasp. You got stung. He didn't. And are you scared of wasps now? No, I say. And is Chet still scared of wasps? Hell yes, says Mac. Exactly. Sometimes the fear of something happening is worse because you've never experienced it before. Once it happened to you and you've got through it, you realise it's not so bad. You're saying Chet might be less scared of wasps if I'd let him get stung? It's possible, she says. Ade, you're blowing my mind, says Kat. Group vote then, Adrienne says. Everyone in favour of me luring the bug-eyes away from the gate, raise your hands. Kat sticks her hand up with an unhappy look on her face. Adrienne glares at Big Mac and he puts his hand up too. I give him a look, but he shrugs. She's like a flipping cheetah, mate. You're more like a ferret or something. I win 3-1, she says. I can do this, Trent, trust me. I can do this, trust me. I nod. Be careful. Run fast, Ade. Katya hugs her. And she's gone, running noisily through the trees and onto the road in front of the bug-eyes, where she fake trips and falls to the ground. She looks up and pretends to be surprised when she sees the guards. It's hard to tell what the guards are thinking at this point because their eyes are just bottomless dark and their faces expressionless, but it only takes a couple of breaths for them to launch into action. They move towards Ade. She lets them come for a few steps and then she jumps up and darts into the trees on the other side of the road without looking back. Respect. Max sighs, his eyes all big and gooey. Let's move, I say, and we make for the gate. There's moss, lots of it, Katya says as we get close. We pull our bags off our backs and start unzipping them as we run. There's no way of knowing how long we'll have before the guards come back or are replaced by some other bug-eyes. We reach the mounds of moss, scrape it up with our hands and cram it into the backpacks. It's only when we've taken nearly all of it that I look up and notice. The gate's open.